So, software. What's problem with the software? In well, from previous design until until this chip became obsolete, which it used to be done by HP, it's GPIB chip, then National Instrument, then National Instrument started making that chip, and it changed it to different type of chip. So the previous chip, which is it's used in all controller, and until 104 controller has that chip. That chip has a GPIB interface, uh, two two paths for communication. And we know in GPIB we have two. When GPIB we have control and charge, which is your computers has GPIB in it, and that computers we call that control and charge. And my controller, it's they call it like device. It's just a listener. Is under control of the GPIB in the computer. So the communication is basically based on the controller and the charge decide when you put you on listen mode, and you always as a device in listen mode, then it gives you some information. Then when he wants you to talk, it it allow you to talk, and you get information back to the charge control and charge, which is in your which is in the computer where your software. So all these chips, the previous chips was wonderful the way they work. They have independent transmitter and receiver. When the controller, when the software where the controller in charge, if he send a command, query for the device, and then ignore the respond, so it doesn't affect the communication. Still, he could send another command, and and the controller will handle it. Okay, so that was perfect. I mean, the way the previous chip, I mean, doesn't affect. I mean, separate channels. Then this chip became obsolete. I mean, they changed it to new chips where the communication through one interface, and is 6 byte oriented rather than 1 byte oriented. That's the benefit, right? Like it's not 1 by 1 byte. You put 16 byte in the buffers, maximum 16 byte, and those goes by themselves. I mean, the processor inside these chips send the data to the controller in charge. So what happened is the problem here occurred due to the software being written on the previous chips, based on the previous chips. So where the software say, well, give me the position, all right, then when the controller try to give the position, the software doesn't read the position, ignore it, it doesn't read it. That causes like locked, the communication is locked. Why it lacks? Because only one, you have one interface in the chips. That's interface. You get the data from that interface. Then you put the data in that interface. So there is two terms here. When you get the data from that interface, you are on listen mode. Then when you put the data back, I mean, the query, so he query possession or query whatever he query, that query came from the time where you are on state on listen mode. Then now you want to answer you answer You answer that data. So you get the data, put the data on the same buffer. This is the respond. So you expected the software from the other side will take the data. So if the software didn't take the data from the buffer, the communication that it will stay in a talk mode. I mean, now you can't your software, which is in the controller in charge, you can't talk to the to the to the controller because the controller is in mode of talking. You want to talk to somebody which is in mode of talking, it will not work. So it will hang. The system will hang. There is no way I could do batching for that. Impossible. Patching this problem, the software has to change, has to follow the concept of listen and talk. Otherwise, it will not work. But other problem in the past where other problem like wrong command and wrong data, this I could handle it in the software. I could make like specific software firmware to handle that and make it to work properly. That's how if the software is not working, I mean with the controllers, I designed all these controllers and all this firmware. Just send me an email and because in the past what I do for people, I I ask them to dump all the data they generated and they send me the data. Then I look at the data, then I'll be able to figure out what went wrong in the communication. Then I give them a suggestion how to solve this problem. So as I said, just send me an email. I respond to you. Same thing as I used to respond in the past, as I respond currently for people too. I mean, still, because I mean, we have built this friendship for so many years. In 1996 till 2018, almost 17. Thank you for listening.